under pressure. Ministry never quits. I was trying to do better. July 2020 in the mountains of Tennessee with Hebrews from other hoods showing true brotherhood. Now it's August 1st and we just finished this fire lesson. Down to the rivers to go receive a fire blessing. Riding to the waters in a set apart motorcade. I can feel a human like chill between my shoulder blades. Old man need to be deaded. Hebrews standing on the shore, reflecting on the wrongs I've done before. Confessing that Yahuwah is the power, Yahusha is.
Hey man, it's about time for y'all to hit that like and that subscribe button. You've been around here soaking up all the game like a dry sponge in a wet puddle. You've been robbing your brother of his likes and his subscription. You don't want to comment, you don't want to hit the share button. You're selfish. You don't want to participate, then you need to evacuate. Get on up out of here quick, fast, and in a hurry, because we don't need your kind. Now, for those of you that's going to do what's right, go ahead and get it then. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment, and sit back and relax. Let's get into these scripts. You dig?
Shalom. Shalom to the brethren. And what up to everybody else? This is your Op, Brandon Lewis. And this is the Lunar Solar Shabbat Scripture Study, where we search the Scriptures, looking for ways to apply them to life that we might become perfect. Too long have we read a scripture here and a scripture there, creating whole doctrine, never knowing the fullness of the context of those scriptures, the fullness and the context of those chapters and those books. And we have ignorantly made them say things that they did not say, made them intend things that they did not intend. May we now read them in the fullness, the context that they were meant to be read in, and know what they were intended to teach us. May the Most High be with us as we read through His Word, as we place them in their proper context, the proper people in whom they were written about, and the proper time frames in which they were written about. This is the time of the rebuilding of the nation, not the rebuilding of temples made with men's hands, but the temples made with the hands and the ruach of the Creator of the heavens and the earth. May we be as we ought to be. May we know what we ought to know. May we have eyes that see. May we have ears that hear. May we build up what needs to be built up. And may we tear down what needs to be torn down. Come together in love, peace, and unity of the brethren of the the mind and of the heart. In the name of the Son, of the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom to the brethren.
Shalom, shalom to the brethren. All praises to the Most High, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the seas, and everything in them. And thanks to his being, his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who the world knows as Jesus Christ. This is the Lunar Shabbat Scripture Study. Thank you for joining me. Whether you're joining me now or you're joining me later. Shout out to everybody. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, and all that old good stuff so we could spread this message to others. Get the algorithm to working. Today we're going to be reading the book of Jeremiah, chapter 36 through chapter 38. The consequences of serving, quote unquote, God, the Most High, and the consequences for not obeying his instructions. These are two very prominent examples listed in these chapters, which is why I wanted to bring it to you here today. And we're going to get right on into it. So I'm also joined here by my Isha and my Beni in the background. Shabbat shalom to those of you that know about such things. And what up to those of you that don't? Now, I might be joined by some of my brethren who I had sent links out to. I've also posted a link to join this live in the description. So copy, paste it, whatever it is you got to do. And get yourself on in here. If that be your mindset, if you have any questions or statements, we love to have you. So, the book of Jeremiah, chapter 36, and it reads, in the 4th year of King Jehoiakim, son of Josiah of Judah, this word came to Jeremiah from the master. Take a scroll and write on it. I hope I'm able to be heard. 1 second. All right. We got action. Take the scroll and write on it all the words that I have spoken to you against Israel and Judah and all the nations from the day I spoke to you, from the days of Josiah until today. It may be that when the house of Judah hears of all of the disasters that I intend to do to them, all of them may turn from their evil ways, so that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. We see here that the Most High is set to judge the people. And in an effort to not have to judge them, he's offering them warnings. Like he says, I raised my prophets up early to send you warnings, to cause you to turn from your transgression. But these people, as you will see, didn't want to hear all that. Then Jeremiah called Baruch, son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote on a scroll at Jeremiah's dictation all the words of the master that he had spoken to him. And Jeremiah ordered Baruch, saying, I am prevented from entering the house of the master. So you go yourself on a fast day in the hearing of the people in the master's house. You shall read the words of the master from the scroll that you have written at my dictation. You shall read them all also in the hearing of all the people of Judah who came up from their towns. It may be that their plea will come before the master, and that all of them will turn from their evil way. For great is the anger and wrath that the master has pronounced against this people. We like to believe that if the Most High tells us something, we're going to listen. But we also don't think that what he has to tell us is going to be that bad. What he told them is what caused them not to turn. If he had told them something light, they might have did it. But it wasn't light, because what he was going to do to them wasn't light. So what they had to do to get out of it was not going to be light. And that's what we have to understand, is that this is their own fault. Just like things that we do be our own fault, what we have to do to come out from under that has to be just as weighty, just as troublesome. And Baruch, son of Neriah, did all that the prophet Jeremiah ordered him about reading from the scroll the words of the master in the master's house. In the 5th year of King Jehoiakim, son of Josiah of Judah, in the 9th month, all the people in Jerusalem and all the people who came from the towns of Judah to Jerusalem proclaimed a fast before the master. Then, in the hearing of all the people, Baruch read the words of Jeremiah from the scroll in the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Gemariah, son of Shaphan, the secretary, which was in the upper court at the entry of the new gate of the master's house. When Micaiah, son of Gemariah, son of Shaphan, heard all the words of the master from the scroll, he went down to the king's house into the secretary's chamber, and all the officials were sitting there. Elishama, the secretary, Delaiah, son of Shemaiah, Elnathan, son of Akbar, Gemariah, son of Shaphan, Zedekiah, son of Hananiah, and all the officials. And Micaiah told them all the words that he had heard. When Baruch read the scroll in the hearing of the people, then all the officials sent Jehudi, son of Nethaniah, son of Shelemiah, son of Cushi, to say to Baruch, bring the scroll that you read, that you read in the hearing of the people, and come. So Baruch, son of Neriah, took the scroll in his hand and came to them. And they said to him, sit down and read to us. So Baruch read it to them. When they heard all the words, they turned to one another in alarm and said to Baruch, we certainly must report all these words to the king. Then they questioned Baruch, tell us now, how did you write all these words? Was it at his dictation? Baruch answered them, he dictated all these words to me, and I wrote them with ink on the scroll. When the officials said to Baruch, go and hide, you and Jeremiah, and let no one know where you are. You see how at this point, the princes are trying to protect Baruch and Jeremiah because they know this is bad news. And people will want to kill you behind this bad news. Just remember the fact that the princes is trying to protect Jeremiah and Baruch right now, at this point in time. Leaving the scroll in the chamber of Elishama, the secretary, they went to the court of the king, and they reported all the words to the king. Then the king sent Jehudi to get the scroll, and he took it from the chamber of Elishama, the secretary, and Jehudi read it to the king and all the officials who stood beside the king. Now, the king was sitting in his winter apartment. It was the 9th month, and there was a fire burning in the brazier before him. And Jehudi read 3 or 4 columns. As Jehudi read 3 or 4 columns, the king would cut them off with a penknife and throw them into the fire in the brazier until the entire scroll was consumed in the fire that was in the brazier. Yet neither the king nor any of his servants who heard all these words was alarmed, nor did they tear their garments. Even when Elnathan, Delaiah, and Gemariah urged the king not to burn the scroll, he would not listen to them. You see the disrespect that this man is telling the king what the Most High has said. And it's grievous to him, right? You're going to find out what the information was later. So he thinks that he could take the scroll and burn it, and it's going to do away with what the Most High has said. You think you could hide. You think you could run. You think you can get away from what he has ordained. You can't, right? And the king commanded Jeremiel, the king's son, and Sariah, son of Israel, and Shelemiah, son of Abdiel, to arrest the secretary Baruch and the prophet Jeremiah, but the master hid him. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with somebody, Jeremiah, who was charged by the Most High to report what he is saying and to use Baruch to report it, right? It's bad news, right? What do you do when the Most High gives you bad news to tell somebody? Jeremiah and Baruch went with it. They gave it at their own. Listen, kings don't like hearing bad news. They've killed people for it. Jeremiah and Baruch knew this, and they still did it. So after the king heard the bad news, he said, go get Jeremiah and Baruch. Go get them. You know why? Because I don't like bad news. Now, his princes were smart. His sons were smart. When his sons heard the same news, they said, you know what? My daddy going to kill you behind this. Go hide. Go hide. Don't tell nobody where you at. Right? That we need to see that this work of the Most High, of doing what's right, of doing what he says, can be troublesome, but you do it anyway. Right? This is the point behind this. Now, it gets worse. Okay? This is just the beginning. It gets much worse. But I just want to highlight for you that we are to endure. This is the endurance for those who endure to the end. That don't mean just, be around. No, that means when this hard stuff happened to you, keep holding on, keep fighting, keep going. Don't stop, don't quit. Continuing on. Now, after the king had burned the scroll with the words that Baruch wrote at Jeremiah's dictation, the word of the master came to Jeremiah. Take another scroll and write on it all the former words that were in the first scroll. Listen, I don't know, nobody care about you burning stuff. I'm going to send you that same scroll, because you know what? It ain't changed. My word ain't changed. You still going to get it. Ain't nothing changed. Write that same scroll over and add something. He gonna put a little extra on it. Now I got to put extra on it because you think you're smart. Take another scroll and write on it all the former words that were in the first scroll, which King Jehoiakim of Judah has burned. And concerning King Jehoiakim of Judah, you shall say, thus says the master, you have dared to burn the scroll, saying, why have you written in it that the king of Babylon will certainly come and destroy this land, and will cut off from it human beings and animals? This is the bad news. In case you didn't know what the bad news was, this is what the bad news was. That the king of the Chaldeans or the Babylonians was going to come and take Jerusalem. The king said, no, man, give me this scroll. Throw it in the fire. Most High said, you know what? Take him another scroll, because it's still true. Right? Therefore, thus says the master concerning King Jehoiakim of Judah, he shall have no one to sit upon the throne of David. Now the news gets worse. You see what happens when you don't listen to the Most High? Now the news gets worse. At first he was just going to take the city. Now he's going to take the city and your children going to die. Okay? So it's best to listen at the first, right? Because he heats it up. He heat up the furnace on you. Therefore, thus says the master concerning King Jehoiakim of Judah, he shall have no one to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out to the heat by day and the frost by night. And I will punish him and his offspring and his servants for their iniquity. I will bring on them and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem and on the people of Judah all the disasters which I have threatened them. But they would not listen. Then Jeremiah took another scroll and gave it to the secretary Baruch, son of Neriah, and wrote on it. And Jeremiah's dictation, who wrote on it at Jeremiah's dictation, all the words of the scroll that King Jehoiakim of Judah had burned in the fire, and many similar words added to them. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 37. Zedekiah, son of Josiah, whom King Nebuchadnezzar, pardon me, y'all. All right. Zedekiah, son of Josiah, whom King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon made king in the land of Judah, succeeded Coniah, son of Jehoiakim. But neither he nor his servants nor the people of the land listened to the words of the master that he spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. King Zedekiah sent Jehoiakim, son of Shelemiah, the priest. So I guess you're wondering what happened to Jehoiakim? How do we get to Zedekiah? What happened to Jehoiakim? Well, um, uh, Babylon came, okay? Chaldeans came, took Jerusalem, and they took the king and his sons to Jerusalem. Well, took the king to Jerusalem. I tell you what, let's read what happened real quick because it skipped on us. It skipped on us. Let's find out what happened here. I think it's Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles tells us what happened. What do you mean? Well, I only know because I read it last night. Okay, so Second Chronicles chapter 36 tells us what happened to King Jehoiakim. The king of Egypt made his brother Eliakim. Okay, hold on. The people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Josiah, and made him king to succeed his father in Jerusalem. Jehoahaz, king of Josiah. Hold on. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. The king of Egypt deposed him in Jerusalem and laid on the land a tribute of 100 talents of silver and 1 talent of gold. The king of Egypt made his brother Eliakim, hold on here, made his brother Eliakim king over Judah and Jerusalem in charge and changed his name to Jehoiakim. So this is who Jehoiakim is in Jeremiah. But Necho took his brother Jehoahaz and carried him to Egypt. Necho, I'm guessing, is the king of Egypt. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and he did what was evil in the sight of the Most High's power. Against him, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came up and bound him with fetters to take him to Babylon. Okay, this is what the Most High promised. Nebuchadnezzar also carried some of the vessels of the house of the master to Babylon and put them in his palace in Babylon. Now, the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and the abominations that he did and what was found against him are written in the book of Kings of Israel and Judah, and his son Jehoiachin succeeded him. Jehoiachin was 8 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. He did what was evil in the sight of the master. In the spring of the year, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon along with the precious vessels of the house of the master and made his brother Zedekiah, king of Judah, over Jerusalem. This is how Zedekiah becomes king in chapter 37. Nebuchadnezzar made him king. Okay, context. And we pick up again. Zedekiah, son of Josiah, whom King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon made king, we just read that, made king in the land of Judah, succeeded Coniah, son of Jehoiakim. But neither he nor his servants nor the people of the land listened to the words of the master that he spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. King Zedekiah sent Jehucal, son of Shelemiah, the priest, Zephaniah, son of Messiah to the prophet Jeremiah, saying, please pray for us to the master, our power. Now, Jeremiah was still going in and out among the people, for he had not yet been put in prison. Meanwhile, the army of Pharaoh had come out of Egypt. And when the Chaldeans, or the Babylonians, when the Chaldeans who were besieging Jerusalem heard news of them, they withdrew from Jerusalem. You see how the Most High provides a little way for people to think they could get out of what he said. Right? They still aren't willingly serving the king of Babylon. Well, I mean, they kind of are to an extent because he didn't put kings up. But Egypt got involved. And when Egypt got involved, it kind of scared the Chaldeans a little bit. Kind of scared them a little bit. We're finna read. Then the word of the master came to the prophet Jeremiah. Thus says the master, mighty one of Israel, this is what the two of you shall say to the king of Judah, who sent you to me to inquire of me. Pharaoh's army would set out to help you, okay, the Egyptians, is going to return to its own land, to Egypt. And the Chaldeans shall return and fight against this city. You have to understand that as they're saying this don't look possible. The Most High is saying, when the Chaldeans come, go serve them. They'll be like, nah, man, ain't got to serve no Chaldeans. Man, ain't no Chaldeans coming. We got Egypt. Egypt ran them boys off. What you mean? Nobody trying to serve no Babylonians. Get up out of here, Jeremiah. That's how they gonna talk to him. Because what the Most High say don't see, what he says bad don't seem possible, and what he says about bringing you out of bad stuff don't seem possible. But that's why he's the Most High, because he could do them both. He could bring destruction that don't seem possible. He could bring salvation that don't seem possible. And he liked doing it. He's like, that's how you know I'm the Most High. That's how you know I'm not these little other deities you serving around here. These evil spirits and these lying spirits. That's how you know I'm not them. Because I do it big. That's his mindset. I do it big. And the Chaldeans shall return and fight against this city. They shall take it and burn it with fire. Thus says the master, do not deceive yourselves, saying, the Chaldeans will surely go away from us, for they will not go away. That's what he's saying. Don't lie to yourself and say they gonna go away. The Most High said they will not go away. Even if you defeated the whole army of the Chaldeans who are fighting against you, and there remained of them only wounded men in their tents, they would rise up and burn this city with fire. Most I say, I don't care what happened to the Chaldeans. They coming back, and they gonna beat you. This is how much what he say is giving them room to be disobedient. He wants you to choose obedience. Choose it in the midst of impossibility. Hey, man, listen, do this. And this is not something you could easily do. It's not easy for a strong nation, a boastful, prideful nation, to humble themselves and serve this people. This is what he asked them to do. It said, they gonna come back. When they come back, serve them. They like, first of all, they ain't coming back. They not coming back. And we ain't gonna serve them. I don't know what you're talking about. He said, just serve them. He knew it would be grievous to him. That's why he said serve them. He knew it was grievous. And this is what we gotta understand in our own lives. Because these words can become us. The Most High clearly shows us a way to go. And it's difficult. Like, man, hey, man, listen. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this. I don't know nobody who will do this. He not talking to nobody. He talking to you. Okay? He said, let the Egyptians serve the Chaldeans. I am not talking to the Egyptians. Let the Romans and the Persians and the Greeks serve the Chaldeans. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to Judah. You serve them when they come against you. And then he make it to where it look like they ain't gonna come against you. Just to see if you would do what he said. It looked like they ain't gonna come. But he telling you they gonna come. So much he give an example. He said, even if you defeated the whole army, even if you defeated the whole army of Chaldeans who are fighting against you, and there remained of them only wounded men in their tents, they would rise up and burn this city with fire. It's still coming. Now, when the Chaldean army had withdrawn from Jerusalem at the approach of Pharaoh's army, Jeremiah set out from Jerusalem to go to the land of Benjamin to receive his share of property among the people there. Because I think King Nebuchadnezzar had took the property at first, and the Egyptians gave it back to him. Something happened to where land was kind of took and it was given back. When he reached the Benjamin gate, the sentinel there named Arijah, son of Shelemiah, son of Hananiah, arrested the prophet Jeremiah, saying, "You are deserting to the Chaldeans." This is another thing. I'm guessing it was a thing of people being scared of the Chaldeans coming, which they should have been. They had every right to be scared. The Most High said they was coming. He said they was coming before Zedekiah became king. He said they was coming. But which he did come. He did come and he did win. But he was winning until the Egyptians got involved. That's when the Most High got mad at the Egyptians and said, I'm gonna make the Chaldeans get you too now. Since you want to get all of my business, I'm punishing Judah. You came and got in my business. I'm gonna show you what happened when you get in my business. And he ended up taking them into captivity too. Okay, the Egyptians got in trouble for getting in his business. But see, that's going against his instructions. Okay, you get spanked, getting in his business. And two, it would be good to tell people what you got going on so they could know not to get in the Most High's business concerning you. You know, because you could be put somewhere or be being punished by the Most High, and ain't nobody supposed to help you out with it. And here goes somebody trying to help you. You ought to turn it down. No, I don't want that. I don't want to get you involved in this. Be like Jonah. Hey, listen, you want to get rid of this? You want to get rid of this storm? Throw me overboard. Okay, that's the best way to get out of this storm. Okay, you just have to be careful. Jeremiah said, "This is a lie. I am not deserting to the Chaldeans." But Arijah would not listen to him and arrested Jeremiah and brought him to the officials. The officials were enraged at Jeremiah, and they beat him and imprisoned him. Imagine getting beaten in prison by doing what's right. And at this point, he ain't even giving out the word of the Most High. He just going to get his land. He going to Benjamin. Benjamin apparently had been occupied by the Chaldeans. So he going to get his land. And I guess he have to leave out of Jerusalem to go get his land. They see him leaving out of Jerusalem. They say, you going to the Chaldeans? No. beat in prison. Okay, but all these things, it be the Most High moving, right? He and they beat him and imprisoned him in the house of the secretary Jonathan, for it had been made a prison. Thus Jeremiah was put in the cistern house, in the cells, and remained there many days. It don't be quick. You be thinking, oh man, I'm suffering travail. Maybe it'll be quick. No, it don't gotta be quick. You still gotta hold on. You still gotta serve him, right? Then King Zedekiah sent for him and received him. The king questioned him secretly in his house and said, is there any word from the master? See, the Most High be working on people. While he's dealing with you, he's dealing with somebody else. So you never know what he got going on, and you don't need to speculate. You just need to wait and see. See, he was somewhere where the king could get to him. Now, what if he was in Benjamin? He was off somewhere far. Maybe the king couldn't have got to him. So you know what? I'm gonna put you over here in this prison over here, somewhere close by, so I can get to you when I need you. I know where you at, so I can get to where you at. And this is what apparently happened here. The king said, is there any word from the master? And Jeremiah said, there is. Okay, it definitely is. You know it is. Then he said, you shall be handed over to the king of Babylon. That's bad news, brethren. You think the king wanted to hear that? Listen, how many people is ready to give out bad news to people? Not only that, to give out bad news to people that don't like hearing bad news, and people that will kill you immediately. After you'd have been beat, after you'd have been put in prison and almost starved to death, still doing what the Most High said do. Let's just look at the story for real. What if this is you? Now, it don't have to be you in the king's house, you and all this stuff, because that's what you think. That's how you think you don't have to serve him. But what if it's on your job? What if it's in your household? What if it's your friends and family? A grievous task that you got to do. The cross you got to bear. This is how we got to look at it. This is how we got to see it. Things written aforetime was written for our learning. That we, through patience and the comfort of the scriptures. This is the comfort of the scriptures, that Jeremiah went through this. That he went through worse. And because he went through it and he was brought out of it, that we could go through it and we'll be brought out of it. This is how we have to see it. Now, this is a story that has been, this message has been regurgitated by myself. Shout out to my brother. He called me today. Ain't you done talked about this already? Yes, I have. Okay. But you know what? It's old to me. It's going to be new to somebody. And somebody need a refresher. And, you know, maybe I need a refresher. Maybe you need a refresher. Maybe whoever needs a refresher, right? That we understand that this thing get tight. This thing get hard. This thing get grievous. But if it didn't, everybody would do it. What make you different? What make you tough? What make you strong? What make you worthy? You know, they say it's hard to be a Navy SEAL. You got to go through all kind of training. Well, if you go through all that training and you make it, don't that make you special? What about the people that quit? What about the people that didn't do it? Guess what? They don't get to be called a Navy SEAL. Guess what? They don't get to be saved. They don't get to enter into the eternal Jerusalem with the king. So that's what I'm saying. We got to go through buds training, okay? The difficulty, the hardships. Jeremiah went through it. Let's read about it. You shall be handed over to the king of Babylon. Jeremiah also said to King Zedekiah, what wrong have I done to you or your servants or this people that you have put me in prison? Man, sitting in prison, man, so what you got me locked up for? I ain't done nothing. Where are your prophets who prophesied to you, saying the king of Babylon will not come against you and against this land? See, there's always contrary voice. Now, please hear me, my master king. Be good enough. Hold on. Let me see something. See if I got some people up in here. Let me check my thing. Nope. Nobody wants to join me. All right, thought I The king of Babylon will not come against you and against this land. Now, please hear me, my master king. Be good enough to listen to my plea, and do not send me back to the house of the secretary Jonathan to die there. Hey, listen. Jeremiah said, man, listen. Don't do me like this. So King Zedekiah gave orders, and they committed Jeremiah to the court of the guard. And a loaf of bread was given him daily from the baker's street until all the bread of the city was gone. So Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard. You see how the Most High, he still keep you, right? He kept Paul. Paul was in prison. Then he ended up being kept in a house somewhere with his own guard. Then he started having visitors and all that. You know, the visitors brought him food. You know, they brought him something to eat. But he in prison, right? He keep you in the midst of your tribulation if you serve in him in your tribulation. Even though it ain't the best, it's like tough love in a way. You know what I'm saying? But the servant's mindset in this adversity is peace. And the peace come from you ain't deserted me. Right? Because if you deserted me, it wouldn't be no reprieve. Huh? If you deserted me, this man ain't finna take me from this and put me here that's better and give me bread. I was starving to death. Now I'm not starving to death. Now I'm eating bread. Huh? That's that, you know, some people say, man, it's too rough serving the Most High, man. Ain't nobody trying to go through all that. You sure? Are you sure? We see what happened to King Jehoiakim. Huh? Him and his sons knocked off, wives raped. Okay? Oh, yeah. It definitely happened. Let's go. My wife said that didn't happen. So I didn't say that. She said she ain't seen it. So let's see here. You know what? I'm sorry. That happened to Zedekiah. Happened to Zedekiah. Not to Jehoiakim, but I don't see why it wouldn't have happened to Jehoiakim. But anyway, we'll read here the last chapter, Jeremiah chapter 38. We're going to hear about the consequences, okay? Because now we have been following along with the hardships of serving the Most High and how he keeps you even through persecution, right? He kept Baruch. He kept Jeremiah, right? Now we are about to read about the culmination of the salvation of the righteous and the destruction of the wicked. Okay, get on into it. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 38. Now, Shephatiah, son of Matan, Gedaliah, son of Pashur, Jukal, son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, son of Malchiah, heard the words that Jeremiah was saying to all the people. Thus says the master, those who stay in this city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence, but those who go out to the Chaldeans shall live. They shall have their lives as a prize of war and live. This is grievous, but this is the best you're going to get. Okay? The best you're going to get is to live. Because if you don't do it, you're going to get the sword, famine, and pestilence. I told you, this is how he works. This is how he moves. This is how his judgment comes. Sword, famine, pestilence. So it would behoove somebody to not do that. But see, this is the thing, is that what he said about the Babylonians coming after losing, they don't think the Babylonians is coming. This is where the trouble comes. Because you got to choose him out of quote unquote faith. You know? You got to choose him out of faith. And not out of fear. Or amunah. Right? And that was these people's problem. Was that the amunah, or the faith, seemed unnecessary. Because it looked like they could make it out without it. You can't make it out without it. You cannot make it out without it. Thus says the master, those who stay in this city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. But those who go out to the Chaldeans shall live. They shall have their lives as a prize of war and live. Thus says the master, this city shall surely be handed over to the army of the king of Babylon and be taken. Then the official said to the king, this man ought to be put to death because he is discouraging the soldiers who are left in this city and all the people by speaking such words to them. For this man is not seeking the welfare of this people, but their harm. So you see how somebody will take what the Most High said, right? The cocky, the unlearned, and will take the whole thing and flip it. So now it's like, we ain't even going to worry about what this man talking about as far as should we do it. We going to talk about the fact of we got to get this man out the way. You got to get him out the way. This is what we talk about when we say that the people persecuted the prophets and persecuted his messengers like the apostles because they have not loved truth but loved lies. This is the problem. Everybody like to think they would listen to the Most High when he says something, but we see over and over again that the Most High's word most likely is contrary to everything you got going on. And when the people find that, instead of humbling themselves, repenting, and changing, they would much rather destroy or quiet the one who speaks such things. Nah, man, I don't want to hear that, man. Get up out of here, man. They would rather discredit them. That's what they're trying to do to Jeremiah. He's speaking such words. What did he say? This man is discouraging the soldiers, discouraging them with truth. That means the soldiers are hearing this and they considering, man, maybe we shouldn't fight against the Chaldeans. Maybe we do need to chill. The princess said, nah, this man making the soldiers scared. Maybe you ought to be scared too. Like, they're not getting, this is what pride does. This is what wickedness of heart does. They say a hardened heart and a stiffened neck. This is what happens with the horse that won't turn by the bridle. They got a stiff neck. And you know what you got to do to a horse that won't be broken? that won't turn as you would have them to go. You know how you get them to go? You got to spank it. You got to spank it. And that's how it works. And that's what's happening. The people going to have to be spanked. So the word of the Most High is usually contrary to the multitude of the people. And the leaders of the people is what give credit to those that might consider not to consider. The soldiers obviously were considering to the point to where they was like, maybe we shouldn't fight. This is the sons of the king talking to the king, telling the king, hey, listen, Jeremiah need to die. Well, hold on. Let me make sure. No, my bad. It ain't the sons of the king. It's the officials. These are priests. These are scribes. These are people high up in the king's court saying this man ought to be put to death because he is discouraging the soldiers who are left in this city and all the people. He making everybody reconsider. But it's the leaders of the people in their wickedness trying to make the people not change. For this man is not seeking the welfare of this people. This is the slander. They're going to slander you. He actually is seeking their welfare by telling them to serve the Babylonians. Because the Most High already said what was going to happen if you don't serve the Babylonians, if you stay in the city. He told all of Jerusalem, go to Chaldea, go to Babylon, take your stuff and go. The king and his officials saying, don't go, stay, serve. Because Jeremiah is saying, go, they're saying, for this man is not seeking the welfare of this city, the slander that comes with serving the Most High. And the harm, and the possible harm. They want to kill him for speaking truth. All right? King Zedekiah said, here he is. He is in your hands, for the king is powerless against you. You see how you got the person who is supposed to be the head caving under peer pressure, caving under political pressure, knowing he ought to do different. Zedekiah know he ought to serve the Most High. He knows it. That's why he went to go see Jeremiah privately. He went to him privately. Hey, man, what the Most High talking about? The Most High said, you need to go serve King of Babylon. And he's basically like, no, I can't do that. What the people gonna say? What the people gonna say if I do this? So, question is, just like Peter said, it's better to serve the Most High than to serve man. Zedekiah said, I can't see the Most High. I see these people. So he's saying it's better to serve man than to serve the Most High. And we'll read this and we'll say, no, I serve the Most High. I wouldn't serve man. I wouldn't care what he talking about. Shit. You'll be putting something right today, whereas do what's right and get hated for it, or do what the Most High said. And most people, a lot of times, do that thing that they're not supposed to do, or not do the thing that they are supposed to do. This is what it is. It's just written in a way that, you know, it seemed like some, I go in there, I be brave, I stick my chest out. Yeah. It be blood over there in the corner from the last person that didn't piss the king off, and you think you gonna go up there and tell the king something about himself. It ain't that easy. It ain't that easy. You know, and Jeremiah was the kind of man that was with the smoke. Everybody like to think they with the smoke. Everybody not with the smoke. The king probably thought he was with the smoke. Yeah, I go up against the king of Babylon right now. Where he at? Most High said, you ain't got to fight him. Serve him. He like, no, what the people gonna say? You ready to fight the man who just knocked off the Assyrians, okay? Knocked off the Assyrians, knocked them smooth off. You were scared of the Assyrians. You said, man, whoa, what is we gonna do against the Assyrians? King Hezekiah, scared to death. What we gonna do against the Assyrians? They too mighty for us. King Nebuchadnezzar knocked them all off. You would rather fight him than tell your princes and your servants, no, we ain't gonna fight them. The Most High says serve them. We gonna serve them. See? It get deep, man. It get deep, you know. The king, Zedekiah said, here he is in your hands, for the king is powerless against you. So they took Jeremiah and threw him into the cistern of Malachi, the king's son, which was in the court of the guard, letting Jeremiah down by ropes. Now, there was no water in the cistern, but only mud, and Jeremiah sank in the mud. You see how Jeremiah is going through another hardship in serving the Most High? But it was for his edification and also for their punishment, because now you punishing the Most High servants. You punishing my emissaries. You punishing my what is the word? Ambassador. You punishing my ambassador. That's an act of war, by the way. Ebed Melech, the Ethiopian and eunuch in the king's house, heard that the king had put Jeremiah into the cisterns. Watch how the Most High keep you, man. Even in the midst, they starving this man. They put this man in a pit, and they gonna starve him to death. Watch how the Most High keep him. The Ethiopian, a eunuch in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah into the cistern. The king happened to be sitting at the Benjamin gate, and Ebed Melech left the king's house and spoke to the king. My master king, these men have acted wickedly in all they did to the prophet Jeremiah by throwing him into the cistern to die there of hunger. For there is no bread left in the city. Then the king commanded Ebed Melech the Ethiopian, take 3 men with you from here and put the prophet Jeremiah from the cistern and pull the prophet Jeremiah up from the cistern before he dies. You see how he put people in place to save your life, man? What if that man wasn't there? The king wasn't finna save him by itself. That man had to bring, the king might not even have known what happened, because the king didn't do this to Jeremiah. The officials did it. The king didn't really hate Jeremiah for real. He just wasn't finna listen to him. He said, I hear you, but I'm not doing it. It's the officials that said, hey man, we need to get dude up out of here. Says, so Ebed Melech took the men with him and went to the house of the king, to a wardrobe of the storehouse, and took from there old rags and worn out clothes, which he let down to Jeremiah in the cistern by ropes. Then Ebed Melech the Ethiopian said to Jeremiah, just put the rags and clothes between your armpits and the rope. And Jeremiah did so. Then they drew Jeremiah up by the ropes and pulled him out of the cistern, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard. You got to serve the Most High, man. He gonna keep you. He keeping Jeremiah. Now, granted, it ain't all sweet. It ain't all sweet, but it ain't meant to be sweet. It's not meant to be sweet. You got to say, ain't no other way Jeremiah made it out of that but the Most High. The Most High want his credit. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. He's supposed to have been dead. He's supposed to starve to death in that hole. But he did starve to death in that hole because the one who he served saved it. Most High wanted his credit, and he wanted his credit alone. Why did Most High? Why did Jeremiah end up in the hole? Firstly, because of the wickedness of men. Secondly, because of the Most High. Okay, the Most High sent them to wicked men, but it was only to be against the wicked men. How did he get out of that hole? The Most High saved him out of that hole. So we can't say we not gonna serve the Most High because he gonna put us in the hole. We gotta say we gonna serve the Most High even though he gonna put us in the hole, and we got faith, we got trust that he gonna bring us out of that hole. That's what David said. My Lord will not let my Lord see decay. He's not gonna let me see decay. I'm serving him. I'm living for him because he's gonna raise me up. And this is that personified. Brought him up out the hole. That's what happened to the son. He went in the hole. And you ain't gonna believe what happened to him. He got up out of there. And he rose to power. You know what happened when you come up out the hole? The people got a new respect for you. Now the king's respect is not gonna come fully until the word has been fulfilled. You know what? That's when the son got the power too. He didn't get the power till it was fulfilled, until he got taken up. Anyway, King Zedekiah sent for the prophet Jeremiah and received him at the third entrance of the temple of the master. The king said to Jeremiah, I have something to ask you. Do not hide anything from me. Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, if I tell you, you will put me to death, will you not? And if I give you advice, you will not listen to me. What you asking me for? Huh? I give you bad news, you don't want to kill me. And if I advise you on the bad news, you ain't gonna listen. Why are you talking to me? Jeremiah over it. Jeremiah like, man, listen. Nobody got time for y'all games, y'all. So King Zedekiah swore an oath in secret to Jeremiah. As the master liveth, who gave us our lives, I will not put you to death or hand you over to these men who seek your life. Then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, thus says the master of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, if you will only surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then your life shall be spared, and the city shall not be burned with fire, and you and your house shall live. But, ooh-wee, but, big but, like big butts, cannot lie, because it put a difference. It put a difference between the good and the evil, the tube and the rash. Let's find out the difference. Okay. One is life. Okay. It said you have before you this day life and death. You go life. What does life mean? What does life come with? This life comes with surrender. Okay. You want life? You gotta surrender. Let's find out the alternative. Because it said you have before you this day life and death. So if life is surrender, death is disobedience. Let's find out about the disobedience. But if you do not surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then this city shall be handed over to the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and you yourself shall not escape from their hand. King Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Judeans who have deserted to the Chaldeans, for I might be handed over to them, and they would abuse me. Jeremiah said, that will not happen. Just obey the voice of the master in what I say to you, and it shall go well with you, and your life shall be spared. This is the doubt, okay? This is the doubt of the instruction. You can't doubt the instruction. No, it's not doubt of the instruction. It's the doubt of the resurrection. from the surrendering, right? It's the doubt of being brought out on the other end. I mean, okay, say I do this. You gonna bring me out for real? You doubting his promises. That's doubting his word. You know what they said? You calling me a liar? Everybody be offended at that. Everybody be offended at somebody saying they a liar. If they're not, by the way. Even if they are, they'll act like they're offended. What you mean? So you don't think the Most High don't like being called a liar? Because that's what you calling them. That's what you calling them. On both accounts. On the resurrection and the death. You saying I ain't going to do what I say I'm going to do. In punishing you or in saving you. This is a problem. And this is a problem. How you going to tell the creator of the heavens and the earth, the seas and everything in them, you lying, dog? That's what it means to not have faith. You lying. I don't think we ever really thought about it like that. That is exactly what it means to not have faith. You lying. The Chaldeans is going to come raid the city. You lying. I'm not going to let them people hurt you. You're going to be okay. You lying. I'm just saying. Let that sit in. Get out of that door. Nemo. Nemo. Come here. What? What are y'all doing? Putting them cards on the floor? No. Pardon me, y'all. This is a family show. This is my Nemo man. Say hey.
And me.
But anyway, let's get finished up. It says, that will not happen. Just obey the voice of the master in what I say to you, and it shall go well with you, and your life shall be spared. But if you are determined not to surrender, this is what the master has shown me. A vision of all the women remaining in the house of the king of Judah being led to the officials of the king of Babylon, saying, your trusted friends have seduced you and have overcome you. Now that your feet are stuck in the mud, they desert you. All your wives and your children shall be led out to the Chaldeans, and you yourself shall not escape from their hand, but shall be seized by the king of Babylon, and this city shall be burned with fire. Then Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, do not let anyone else know of this conversation, or you will die. This ain't something you want to be telling, okay? Because my sons will kill you. You already know my officials won't kill you, so don't tell nobody else this bad news, right? If the officials should hear that I have spoken with you, and they should come and say to you, just tell us what you said to the king. Do not conceal it from us, or we will put you to death. What did the king say to you? Then you shall say to them, I was presenting my plea to the king, not to send me back to the house of Jonathan to die there. All the officials did come to Jeremiah, so they most definitely came. Get back. Go. Get back. All the officials did come to Jeremiah and questioned him. And he answered them in the very words the king had commanded. So they stopped questioning him, for the conversation had not been overheard. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard until the day that Jerusalem was taken. So, to give you more of a final deal on that, let's go back to Second Chronicles chapter 36 and find out the chain of events. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. He did what was evil in the sight of the master his power. He did not humble himself before the prophet Jeremiah, who spoke from the mouth of the master. He also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear by Yah. He stiffened his neck and hardened his heart against turning to the master, the mighty one of Israel. All the leading priests and people who were exceedingly unfaithful, following all the abominations of the nation. And they polluted the house of the master that they had consecrated in Jerusalem. The master, the power of the ancestors, sent persistently to them by his messengers because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. He didn't want to destroy his people. He didn't want to destroy his temple because his temple was connected to his name. His people was connected to his name. The people that are called by my name, you ain't gonna believe it. The land and the temple, all of it's called by his name. Because he's the husband. That's his house. That's his wife and his children. Something happened to my wife, my children, and my house, people gonna look at me crazy. It's connected to him. So he said, you know what? Instead of people saying, what your wife got going on, dog? What your kids got going on over there, man? They over there tripping. He said, you know what they gonna say? Man, dude, really messed them folks up behind. You want to talk about Chris Benoit? Most High, brought the belt, brought the firm hand to his household. But it was after pleading, it was after crying out and doing everything he could in the confines of how he runs things, right? He's not going outside of his will, but in the confines of his will of, I'm going to send somebody to plead with them, right? He's not going to make nobody do nothing. So he sends people to plead with people to change. He don't make them change. You know what I'm saying? He wanted them to choose change. Right? Choose change. Why should ye die? Right? He had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they kept mocking the messengers of Yah, despising his words and scoffing at his prophets, until the wrath of the master against his people became so great that there was no remedy. Therefore, he brought up against them the king of the Chaldeans, who killed their youths with the sword. Okay? This is what happened after he talked to Zedekiah. This is part 2, right? Therefore, he brought against them the king of the Chaldeans, who killed their youths with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion on young man or young woman, the aged or the feeble. He gave them all into his hand. All the vessels of the house of Yah, large and small, and the treasures of the house of Yah, and the treasures of the king and of his officials, all these he brought to Babylon. They burned the house of Yah, broke down the wall of Jerusalem, burned all its palaces with fire, and destroyed all its precious vessels. He took into exile in Babylon those who had escaped from the sword, and those who became and they became servants to him. You ain't gonna believe it. 1/3. Everybody will talk about being the 1/3. This is the 1/3, brethren. Okay, and they became servants. He said, a third shall die by pestilence, and a third shall die by famine. Is that a fourth or something? A third? Anyway, it's gonna be divided or whatever. And the last remaining bit after the sword, famine, and pestilence was gonna go into captivity. That's what Ezekiel spoke of, right? This is the fulfillment of that. So he took into exile in Babylon, those who had escaped from the sword, and they became servants to him and to his sons and to the establishment of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word the master by the mouth of Jeremiah, we just read, until the land had made up for its Sabbaths. See, the land got the rest in its Sabbath. All the days that it lay desolate, it kept Sabbath to fulfill 70 years. In the first year of King Cyrus of Persia, in fulfillment of the word of the master spoken by Jeremiah, the master stirred up the spirit of the King Cyrus of Persia so that he sent a herald throughout all his kingdom and also declared in a written edict, thus says King Cyrus of Persia, the master, the power of Shemaim has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Whoever is among you of all his people, may the master his power be with him. Let him go up. All praise to the Most High Yah for his word, for keeping his word. I don't call him a lie. You know what I'm talking about? I know he's on point. You know what I'm talking about? I know he's on point. So that's what we got. I pray that you've been edified. I pray that you were able to look into your own lives, right? Because that's the point. As we read scripture, it ain't so much about figuring out mysteries of the Bible, right? Although, you know, they can be from time to time, but it's mainly about taking the things in which we read and applying it to our own lives, right? Look into your own lives and say, where am I being sent like a Jeremiah, right? Is it grievous? Is it hard? Will I do it anyway? What am I being told? Like a King Zedekiah, like a King Jehoiakim, right? What am I being told that's grievous that I kind of don't want to do, that I really need to do? Will I do it? Right? That's what this lesson is about. And to edify those that didn't know about how the Babylonians took Jerusalem intimately. A lot of times you hear about that, you know. They fought against the Babylonians. Nowadays we talk about New Babylon. They calling it America and all of this and that, right? You know, people taking a lot of prophecies that was specifically talking about this, and they're trying to make it about America. Maybe it applies, most likely it don't, right? But I just want to touch on that. All praise to the Most High Yah, the creator of the heavens and the earth. Thanks to his Ben, his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who is that great king of Yehuda, who was prophesied to come and who has come and who sits on the throne and who reigns, who is the Adonai, who is the mediator, the High Kohanim, Yehuda and Benjamin in one, the personification of the one that bring forth praise and the son of days. Put out to him for his carrying out of the will of his father and his endurance through the persecution, through the trials and the tribulation that he went through, right? Hated in his own hometown, lied on, you know, sought after for stripes and for stoning. But the Most High saved him out of that for a time, because it was not yet his time to go. Jeremiah died eventually. He wasn't meant to die by King Zedekiah. He wasn't meant to die by King Jehoiakim. He was meant to go through some tribulation that he could be brought out. Same thing with the Messiah. Same thing about us. We meant to go through tribulation. But we also meant to be brought out if we will but be obedient to what he said. Shabbat shalom to the brethren. And what up to everybody else? Shalom.
Hey man, it's about time for y'all to hit that like and that subscribe button. You've been around here soaking up all the game like a dry sponge in a wet puddle. You've been robbing your brother of his likes and his subscription. You don't want to comment. You don't want to hit the share button. You're selfish. You don't want to participate, then you need to evacuate. Get on up out of here quick, fast, and in a hurry, because we don't need your kind. Now, for those of you that's going to do what's right, go ahead and get it then. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment, and sit back and relax. Let's get into these scripts.